My video for August 28, 2017 is entitled, When God is a Terrorist. I don't think I ever made a video dealing with a subject like this one. After all, from my youth, I read the Bible through year after year into my mid-30s. My very life had been dedicated to God before I was even conceived. Of course, the King James Version of the Ten Commandments were the ones I learned. I overlooked the contradictions, not allowing them to register or buying into the excuses for violating commandment number 6, thou shalt not kill. The very God who issued that command is also quoted as saying, I kill and I make alive. Also, and slay both men and women, infant and suckling, and kill the firstborn of the people and animals. And happy shall be he that taketh and dasheth the little ones against the stones. How did I miss the fact that the God of the Bible was a tyrant, or as we would call him today, a terrorist? And 3 world religions were born of that schizophrenic monster that we are commanded to love with all our heart and soul. Is it any wonder the world has evolved the way it has? What will it take to wake us up? This is the first video that I've recorded in the afternoon in some time, although I had intended to make one with Valentine yesterday, but he never got back to me, though I sent him emails and Facebook messages. He never got back to me to set up a time, so I don't know if he's not, I don't know what the situation is there, but in any case, I've been awake since between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, wrestling with many things, the subject of today's video being one of them. And of course, other videos that people have sent me regarding how the United States is a terrorist nation and stuff like that. But again, the United States is run by Ashkenazi Jews, by far and large. And the nation of Israel is a warlike nation. It was at war way back at its foundation, and it remains at war when it was reinstituted in the modern era after the Second World War. Britain gave Israel to the Ashkenazi Jews, who were atheists, by the way, didn't even believe in God, or the God that they believed in was Lucifer or the devil. I wrestle with these things because my life, as I said, was dedicated before I was even born to God. And I grew up reading the Bible, having it first read to me, but even from probably 10 or 11 years old, I began reading it myself. And by the time I was, it was 64, so I would have been, not 64, 1962. 1962, how old would I have been then? I was born in 46. So anyway, that's when I started reading it through every year in 1962. But I was reading it prior to that even, and preaching on the street corners of Paterson, New Jersey, as I've said in other videos. So when a person like me comes and creates the title of a video calling God a terrorist, it's going to raise some eyebrows and probably some animosity from people that are still believers. And I'm still a believer, ironically. I'm just not a believer that the God of the Bible was infallible. Obviously, that God was schizophrenic, sick, a terrorist, demented, an egomaniac. I mean, you could put all sorts of labels on the God of the Bible as quoted in the Bible. Now, I don't believe that God actually wrote the Bible. I'm sorry. Many of you may think that God actually penned it himself. Perhaps 10 commandments were scribed with the finger of some being on tablets of stone that were broken, of course, by Moses when he came down and saw the people worshiping the golden calf. But anyway, as I said, I grew up believing the Bible. And it wasn't until they stole my home and I got to live with my son, who kept trying to convince me that there was no God. And others have tried to convince me the same thing, that there is no God. Well, if there is no God, then life doesn't make sense. But if the God that we have is a terrorist, is it any wonder the world is the way that it is? That war has been the way of the world for ages, literally ages. The world has been involved in war, supposedly a planet between Mars and Earth, which became the what do you call it, the belt, a planet exploded, became the asteroid belt. That's what it's called. And the insanity of life, where somehow we get the idea that we have to have contrast in order to appreciate the good. We've got to have experience the bad too, because contrast is the only legitimate teacher. I don't buy that, folks. I don't buy that contrast is the only legitimate teacher. I think it's okay to be able now that we have the history, to watch the movies of our history, if you were, and look back and say, what insanity. People actually believe that stuff? Yeah, people actually do still today believe that somehow the good people are supposed to eradicate the bad people, which makes us judges and not lovers. No wonder we come out with the situation that we find ourselves in. Now, I don't know if demons are real or angels are real. Some would even question, are we real? I question everything anymore because I just simply am trying to make sense out of the insanity, trying to make sense out of the nonsense of the experience of the world that I live in. Someone that has always tried to do the right thing, that has admitted things that were not convenient to admit, even when being deposed in front of lawyers and others in the thing when they were trying to steal my home. It took them a long time, but they managed to finally do it because we're dealing with a lying system based on a terrorist God that is insecure and doesn't trust that we're going to do the right thing, so he gives us threats to try to keep us in line. This is insane. And folks, I know I'm going to get a lot of comments on this one. Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe the Christians and the people that are defenders of God are going to step in and step up and attack me. And if they, I mean, I'm trying to talk in a reasonable voice. I'm not trying to argue. I'm presenting the dilemma that I find myself in at this stage in my life when I'm, as I said, questioning everything. I wish we would all start questioning the world that we live in and maybe do something that might contribute toward fixing the problem instead of allowing it to continue millennium in, millennium out. We need help. We need transformation. And it needs to come from within ourselves. And hopefully there is some power that will stand with us. Call it God or whatever. Thank you for listening. Namaste.